Libra, what is up, y'all? What's good? What is happening? What it do? It's time for your weekly check-in. We gonna see what's going on with y'all in the third week of August. August week 3 for my Libra family. So remember, weekly check-ins are just a short, sweet, general, energetic overview. If any of you are in need of a personal reading, you can find all the information on how to go about doing that in the description of this video. Most people prefer my general personal readings because you ain't got to ask me nothing, you ain't got to tell me nothing. If you don't want to, you can, but you don't have to. All you got to do is click what you want read and let me do the rest. Quick, easy, efficient, to the point, and cheap. I do offer a lot more than that, though. And you can read up on everything else I have to offer on my website. Link is in the description. All right, let's hop into this. What can we tell Libra, universe, about their situation and the person they're dealing with? Third week of August. What can we tell Libra? Third week of August. Woo, 9 of Cups, though. Okay. That's a good energy to jump out. Let's get 3 shuffles. There's 1, 2, and 3. 7 of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles. I don't want to get too specific here, but it does kind of feel like this individual is doing things to try to get your attention. It's what this feels like. You know, like posting things directed towards you or, you know, stuff like that. Something to try to get an indirect response or reaction out of you. And if you ain't careful, if you give them what they're fishing for, if you bite the bait, 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands, then you'll get sucked into the trap. But I think a lot of you, though, really are smarter than that. Some of you may have played this game a few times with this person, and you see this as a test. So with the 7 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords, I think you're a little bit smarter than that. You're more solid than that. Looks to me like you're just kind of putting your head down and pushing through this. Boy, man, I feel like this person's scheming something. But you ain't having it, are you? You ain't having it. You're walking away from this. You're being the bigger person. Yeah. Some of you dealing with an Aries. I also have Taurus here. Okay. Well, that's all I can get out of that. Let's take a deeper look at this person's feelings and intentions. Deeper look at this person's truest, deepest feelings, energies, and intentions. The main thing I'm looking for is their energy in general. I want to see what kind of person they are, you know? That's just me. Let's see here. How do they really feel about you? What are their real intentions? Magician. Boom, boom, boom. High Priestess. Are you dealing with somebody that's like on a spiritual path, or they dabble in metaphysics and esoterics? If so, I know that's not all of you, but I feel like it's some of you. If you're dealing with somebody that's, you know, they play with manifestation and stuff like that, feels like they've probably been trying to manifest you reaching out. Probably. Which that's a slippery slope. That's one of the slipperiest slopes in the history of slippery slopes. Because if you don't want to reach out for whatever reason, and they try to manipulate you energetically so that you do something that you don't really want to do, then that is when it crosses the line into black magic. That's when it's attempting to infringe on your free will. And that, my friend, is going to come back and bite them in the ass. Oh, yes, it will. I don't know if it's gone that far, but for some reason I'm getting that energy really strong here. But the question is, what's their intentions? It's hard to say, honestly. With the Queen of Swords, King of Wands reversed, it almost kind of feels to me like they just want to know how you feel. And every time this comes through, and this is a message that comes through readings a lot. I see this message a lot. And every time it comes through, I always tell myself, okay, when I get done with this video and I'm laying down to go to bed, I'm going to try to think of a better way to explain this. And then I always forget. I always forget to come up with a better way to explain this. I may not need to. Maybe you already know what I'm talking about, but it's like you take up a lot of space in their mind and it drives them nuts. They just want to know how you feel, but they're not really thinking past that, you know? It's one thing if this person is coming from a place of wanting to know how you feel so they can see whether or not the two of you could rebuild and rebrand and try to lay a new foundation and try to get it right this time. That's one thing, but this is that type of thing where they're not thinking that far into it, you know? So basically the $1 million question is, if you was to show up in their inbox telling them how you feel, then what? That's the question. What comes after that? They're not thinking that far into it. Does that make sense at all? King of Cups reversed. King of Wands reversed. If I had to take an intuitive shot in the dark, I would say they're not up to any good. Trying to manipulate a situation. If anything, you know what else this kind of feels like too? This kind of feels like that type of energy where somebody wants you to want them just to make them feel better about themselves, you know? You know how somebody will breadcrumb you just enough to keep you hooked? But then whenever you release and move on from it, then they're chasing after you. And then when you try to give to this connection, then they're breadcrumbing you, pushing you away. It turns into a push-pull thing. And it's because they want you to want them just for their own self-esteem, to make themselves feel better about themselves. But the minute you start to move on, then that crushes their self-esteem. Oh, you can't move on from me. Oh, you can't move on from me. I want to see myself as somebody that somebody else wants really bad. That's how I want to see myself. As long as somebody wants me, then that's all I need to feel better about myself. But if you're able to just let go and move on from me, oh my God, that must mean that my existence isn't very impactful. You know, that's again, sounds stupid. I get secondhand embarrassment talking about this shit, but that's the energy that I'm feeling here. And I'm gonna tell you what, you want to talk about getting caught in a fucking toxic karmic cycle. This is all the ingredients you need for that. Could be a Virgo for some of you. Also have Leo again, Cancer again. Could be anybody. Those are just energies. All right, let's just get the advice. Let's get the advice. I see two very strong possible outcomes here. Let's just grab the advice. What is the best advice for Libra? What's the advice for Libra? Boom, Ace of Cups reversed. Okay. Well, I think you already know what's going to happen if you do feed into this, right? Especially those of you who have already gone through this cycle a time or two with this person. Especially you. But maybe for those of you who haven't gone through this cycle with this person yet, and you might be wondering, maybe something has changed. That's a tough one there, because you need to be able to identify the cycle and the pattern yourself. You know, it doesn't take long for a cycle or a pattern to be identified. There's a fine line between someone making a mistake and someone making a choice. Fine line. At what point does a mistake become a decision? How many times does a person have to keep making the same mistake before you can tell they're making a choice? See what I'm saying? Just be careful with this. Be careful feeding energy into this. Be careful exchanging energy with this person. Because, man, I'm a little bit nervous about this because, okay, so if I give you advice that you don't fully understand and you just blindly take my advice just because you trust me, that's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. You're going to go through the exact same cycle with the next person that comes in. Now, that doesn't mean that you're stupid. That doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. There are some things in life that can only be learned through experience. There's some things in life that you can listen to everybody teach and preach and guide, and you can watch all kinds of videos and take all kinds of courses, and those are good things. I'm not saying don't do that, but there are some things that can only be fully understood through experience, right? So, yeah, I think the majority of you already know. You already know what the scoop is here. Hey, if it's really to the point to where you do need to step in and repeat that cycle, then it is what it is. Because if you're so unprepared for the next level that you would be able to get sucked in and repeat that cycle, you wouldn't make it in the next level anyways, because you're not ready for it. See what I'm saying? All right. Time to shift gears. How much time do I got? Okay. All right. Let's see what's happening with the single Libras and the person that you're interested in. Single Libras and your love interest. What's happening? What's happening? Anything good happening? Anything bad happening? Anything happening at all? So the 10 of Wands. Is this connection becoming more of a burden than a blessing? Some of you dealing with a fire sign, possibly Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Doesn't look like you all are getting to a very stable place together. Communication looks okay. But you just can't really seem to move on from this. I am kind of feeling like some kind of offer is being made here. But this is weird. I'm seeing an offer being made. You can't ignore 3 pages. You can't ignore that. That's communication and an offer being made. But Empress and the Ten of Wands, it's almost like one of those types of things where two people, well, usually one person is really, really interested in the other, and the other person just agrees to acquiesce to the offer on like the what if factor, like, I don't know, but fuck it, we'll see. It doesn't quite feel right. I don't know, but we'll see where it goes. And it's like clearly not a connection, you know? And it's awkward and it's strange and it's funny and it's cringy and it just, you know, and then it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long before it just starts weighing on you very, very, very heavily. Very heavily. You know? So honestly, I'm kind of feeling like this person is still keeping their options open. Even if an offer is made and or accepted. I feel like they're keeping their options open. All right, some of you dealing with a Scorpio. I also have Sagittarius and Taurus. Man, I got a lot of past energy here. A lot of past energy. I keep trying to steer around it, but every time I read a new connection or potential new connection, past energy comes in. And I get so tired of seeing it and so tired of talking about it that I'm just going to try to steer around it. But when the Death card and the Tower card both come out reversed, there ain't a whole lot of avoiding you're going to be able to do there. So, all right. Let's see this person's feelings, energies, and intentions. Person Libra is interested in. Magician again. Getting a lot of magicians in this video here tonight. Two more shuffles, two more. Now, of course, unhealed past heartbreak. Yeah, and Seven of Swords. Yeah, okay. So this is kind of looking like a good old classic case of somebody that got their heart ripped out and is not handling it very well. They're still so hurt from something that happened in the past, and they're not fully committing to anything or anyone. So it's probably not somebody you can trust. I think there's a third energy in the mix. A third energy. I'm not going to say third party. It could be a third party. But whether it's an actual third party or not, there's still a third energy. So are they actually seeing or talking to somebody else? Possibly. They could be. Or it could be just a past person that they're hoping to God reaches out to them. You know? Filling a void until a past person reaches out. And then as soon as that past person reaches out, pew, they're gone. Poof. They disappear. There's definitely a third energy in here, and I think it's past energy. Okay. Yeah, I think they're trying to fill a void. Definitely trying to fill a void. It's a bummer. All right. Well, let's grab the advice here. What's the advice for Libra? Oh, shit. You know what that mean? That mean walk the fuck away. That's what that mean. Damn. I didn't think it would come straight out the gate like that. Let me see what else comes through here. Let me see what I can do with this. I'll try to see if I can bend it a little bit and give you a little bit more leverage over the situation. Queen of Wands. Three of Swords again. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm trying to see what I can do with this. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Because I'm going to tell you what right now. A manipulator's worst nightmare is somebody who is rock solid and somebody who walks in integrity. Now, understand that there is a big difference between being independent and throwing your guard up. There's a big difference there. A lot of people out there in today's day and age like to claim to be independent. And for all intents and purposes, on one end of the spectrum, maybe they are, right? But being independent is much, much, much more than just being able to function on your own. Much, much more. There's emotional independence as well. And when you're emotionally independent, see, most people who say they're independent, you see a lot of people who have a really nasty attitude that comes along with that, because they got their guard up. They got their guard up and they don't want to let nobody in. So they got a bad attitude with it. They got a chip on their shoulder. They're real quick to start some shit, start a fight, start an argument. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about somebody who just walks in a vibration of abundance. I'm not saying you got a chip on your shoulder. You ain't got no bad attitude. You ain't got no, it's just very calm, cool, collected. And if you're able to maintain that energy and let this person know that if you don't know whether or not you want me or someone else, I'm good. I'm good. Later. Deuces. Deuces. Bye. Don't reward inconsistent behavior. For some reason, over the past week or so, I've been hearing a lot of reports of people dealing with somebody that they say is acting shady. When people start acting shady, it's time to start putting that foot down. Inconsistencies start popping up, discrepancies, actions not matching words, words not matching actions, saying one thing one day, another thing another day, doing one thing one day, another thing another day. Once that shit starts, you better fucking slam your foot down. Don't you let them start pulling that slick shit. Let it be known. But